Hi, my name is Joanne from 123stitch.com. The holidays are rapidly approaching. I don't know about you, but I love Christmas. I love to have different small themed trees around my house. I always have my travel tree with all the ornaments I've collected while traveling. And then I have to, of course, have my cross-stitch tree. I'm finding myself in need of a few more ornaments for that tree, so I thought it'd be fun to do a series of videos where I show you a couple of different finishing techniques. Today we're going to do sled ornaments, and we're also going to do tart tin ornaments. I'm going to show you exactly how to finish these. It's easy, I promise. These are two of the easiest, so you're really going to have fun with them. Before we get started though, please go down below, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And also, I will have links to all the products that you see and that I mentioned today in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to start with sled ornaments. This is a pre-finished sled by Foxwood Crossings. They've been around forever, but they really are a great way to do ornaments. You don't have to paint them, you don't have to put them together, they're just ready to go. You just need to put your design right on top of it. So let me show you what you're going to need. First of all, we'll need our sled. We'll need our stitched piece. This is mine. I've stitched this design from Lizzie Kate. It is called Snowy Sleds, and it is stitched on a 14 count perforated paper. If you've never stitched with perforated paper, it's just this heavyweight paper that is punched with holes. In this case, it's 14 holes per inch, so it's the equivalent of a 14 count Aida. You cut a bigger piece than you need, and then you just hold it in hand while you stitch. Really easy. These stitch up super quick. This probably took at a maximum 2 hours, probably less than that even. And there's no fractional stitches, usually very little, if any, back stitching. So they're nice, quick, easy ways to make ornaments. We are going to cut this out, so we'll need scissors. And then to attach it to the sled, you can either use a double-sided acid-free mounting tape. You just cut up a piece, put it on the back of the design, and put it on the sled. Or I prefer to use glue, and I use the Aleene's Tacky glue for this. I feel like I have a little bit more control with this, and it adheres a little bit better. So that's all we need. Let's get started with how do we cut this out. If you see there, I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see a little bit better. There are holes and there are lines of solid. What we do is we are going to, first of all, let me cut off some excess. It's much easier if you don't have this extra hanging around. Okay, we're going to cut in the hole section, and we're going to leave a line of solid paper between the stitching and our scissors. So you can do more, but I usually just use one line. We're just going to go through and cut. Going to get rid of the excess at the top. It's easier to go around corners if you don't have so much to deal with. So to go around the corners, you do the same thing. You just make sure you leave a line of the perforated paper. You don't want to go too close. If you cut through that, your stitch is going to come loose. If that happens, don't panic. Put a dab of glue on the back, wait till it dries, and that should hold your stitch in place. I don't think I've ever had that happen, but it can, so just be careful when you're cutting. And we'll just go around the corners here and finish cutting this out. It helps to get rid of that because it's hard to maneuver your scissors when it's in the way. There we go. Just go down here around the corner. And finish cutting it out. There you go. That's it. It's all cut out and it's ready to put on our sled. So get these pieces out of the way. And like I said, we're going to use our glue. So we're just going to put the glue right on the stitching. You don't want to go crazy and put too much glue on. It does dry clear, but you don't want to put so much on that it seeps through. What I like to do is put some glue on, and then I will just use my fingers to spread it around. You can use a paintbrush, or you can just use the tip of the glue bottle. I just get my fingers right in there, and that seems to work best for me. And then we just turn it over, center it on the sled and hold it down in place until it's all set. Make sure that's straight. There we go. That's it. Our sled ornament is done. Now, of course, the fun part is decorating them. So you can leave it like that. It's perfectly fine. Or you can put some ribbon around the edges, put a charm on it. I like to have the date charm on my ornaments. I like to date them. It just makes me remember when I made them. I don't know. It's just kind of fun to look back on. So to put the ribbon on, all you have to do is run glue around it, put the ribbon on. I use a thin ribbon so that it fits really well. I have this one too where I also put a bow on the top. So there you go. That's our sled ornaments. So next let's look at the Tart tin ornament. Okay, let's make a Tart tin ornament next. First thing you need is your Tart tins, and these little guys come 4 to a package with the Tart tin and a little mounting circle. They're made by Yarn Tree. They're a really good deal. They make perfect ornament size. They have about a 2.5-inch opening, so your design size can be about 2.5 by 2.5. You'll also need some scrap batting. You can probably use cotton balls if you want, just kind of open them up, but I like to use batting. You'll need some sewing thread and a needle. We're going to use this to gather the stitched piece onto the back of the mounting board. We're going to need some glue. I use Aleene's Tacky glue. And we're going to need, of course, always our scissors. And we're going to need our stitched piece. So let's take a look at what I have to work with today. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you can see it. This is my little Merry Christmas tree by JBW Designs. It's from Christmas Ornaments 4. I met Judy Whitman in Nashville first several years ago, and she had a little Christmas tree with all of these ornaments stitched over one thread, and I just thought it was the cutest thing ever and wanted to go home and make them right away. Well, I never did until now. I have made my first ornament stitched over one thread on a 28 count fabric, and it's going to be just the perfect size to fit in our Tart tin. So let's see how we make that. A couple other things you need: some kind of string or twine for the holder on your ornament, and then I like to do couple of little beads, some little pony beads on the top. I'll show you how I use them. The first thing I want to do though is to get one of my tins, and the first thing you're going to notice is that there is no hole for a hanger. So we're going to make a hole. This is very thin metal. So all I do is I take the sharp point of my scissors and I just start making a little hole in the top. Probably just do one edge of this. Just kind of get a little hole started so that pokes through, and then twist it a couple of times until you have a nice opening. Now you can use another tool. You can use an ice pick. You can use probably a knife. Just be careful what you're doing. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to make a hole though. So make that big enough for your hanger to go through. But once you've done that, we can set that aside right now. We don't need to put the hanger on until the very end. What we do want to do is I want to show you something. The mounting foam just sort of sits inside here. It doesn't go flat on the bottom. It's going to get glued in, but it can kind of wiggle around a little bit, as you can see. So what I like to do is to get a couple of those pieces of scrap batting and just kind of glue them in the bottom. That gives it something a little more to hang on to when I glue it in place. So I'm going to do that first before we play with our design. I'm going to trim these ends off just a little. See what that looks like in there. There we go. That's not bad. So we'll just get a little glue, a little of our Aleene's glue in the bottom. Glue one piece down. Put glue on the top. I want it a little thicker, so I'm going to put a second piece down. Get in there. There we go. Okay, it doesn't have to be pretty. This is where you can put the cotton balls in. They don't need to be pretty. They don't need to be perfect. It's just a little something to help hold our cross-stitch piece, our mounting board in place. Okay, anytime I have glue, I get excess on my finger, so let me wipe that off. Okay, now we've got to deal with our stitched piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the circle in there and verify that yes, it does fit. It just fits, but it's perfect size. So what I want to do is kind of cut out maybe a 1/2 inch all around, a little bit extra. Let me get a different pair of scissors here. I want to allow enough room around the edge, so I'm going to kind of make it bigger than I expect to need it, because we're going to put this onto the mounting board and then gather it up on the back side to hold it in place. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, then when we put our mounting circle in there, what we're going to do is take our sewing thread and do a running stitch to get this all in place here. Let's zoom in just a tiny bit. I have my needle threaded. I'm using double length. I have it doubled up and knotted on the end. Any thread will do. It doesn't really matter because it's going to be hidden here on the back side. So I'm just going to take a quick stitch here. And then what we're going to do is very big stitches, big like running stitches all the way around. And as we go around, we're going to see it's going to want to try to gather on its own, but let's just get all the way around. Don't worry about the adjustment of the design. We're going to do that at the end once we get all the stitches in place. You can see already that it's starting to gather up around that mounting board. Just get all the way through here till the end. I hope you try one of these over one thread ornaments. They're a lot of fun to make. They're small, so it's not a huge commitment of the over one thing, but I didn't have any problem seeing it, and I'm usually not very good with stitching over one. Okay, we're going to get to the end here. And there we go. Now I'm going to pull a little and see what I've got here. We want to keep it centered. So we're going to, this is why I use 2 lengths of the thread, because we want to be able to pull it. There we go. Center it in place. Now I think I'm actually also going to do a little bit of lacing. So I'm going to take my needle one side through to the other side. This is going to hold it flat against the board. And then we'll go this direction. Sorry, I'm a little out of focus there. There we go. So I'm just taking my thread from one side to the other so I can pull everything nice and flat. There we go. Pull it through the other side. And this is where I recommend a sewing thread, because it's a little sturdier and also two strands of it. Okay, don't need to be perfect here because we are going to glue this in place, but you can see already it looks like it's going to be just perfectly centered. Okay, now I'm just going to knot this off. Remember, it doesn't matter what our backside looks like here, it's going to get glued in place. Trim that. Okay. Now we're going to glue it in place like this. One step that I neglected to do that you may want to do, it is totally optional, is to put a piece of batting on underneath the cross stitch on this top side before you start the lacing. That way it is a little puffier. I don't think it's necessary in this case, so I'm just going to leave that out. Now we are going to glue this in place, but remember we have our hanger goes right there, so we want to center it the correct way. And we're just going to glue this in place. We're going to put glue along the back side of this. Some in the center. And then we're going to kind of do a little bit of glue on the edges because that's going to catch on the edge of the Tart tin. And as always with glue, sometimes your fingers are the best way to spread it. You can use hanger, you can use a paintbrush, or you can just use your fingers. Okay, let me wipe my fingers off before I get glue everywhere. And then we're going to put this inside of our ornament, inside of our little Tart tin. Hanger at the top. Press that down. We're going to leave that in place until the glue dries, and then we're going to put our hanger on. So this is where if you wanted some batting to make it a little puffier, you could have put that down underneath the stitching, then put the stitched piece on top of it and lace it on the back side. It works either way. I think I'm going to let this sit like this and let it dry before I attempt to put the hanger on. So I'm going to come back and do that. I'll be right back. Okay, our ornament is in place. The glue is dry, and now it's time to put on the hanger. For the hanger, I like to use twine. In this case, I'm going to use this red and white candy cane striped twine. I'm going to cut a piece bigger than I actually think I'll need. I'm going to thread it through the hole I made earlier. Bring the two ends together. Let's zoom out here a little so you can see. Bring the two ends together at the top. And then I have these two red pony beads that I'm going to use. I'm going to thread them on here. Let's trim those ends up so they're not so frayed. Put my pony bead through there. There's one. This is of course optional, and you can use all kinds of different things. I just think it adds a little extra touch to the design when you've got them on here. So I just have them down there at the bottom. And then I tie a knot up here, kind of decide where I want the hanger to be. But that's where I say make it bigger than you think, so when it's time to hang it on the tree, you can adjust if you need to. That might be a little long, but that's not bad. So let's just zoom out here so you can see the ornament a little better. I think it turned out so cute, and these are not hard to make it off. I really enjoyed making this one. I hope you give it a try. Okay, we have made a sled ornament and a Tart tin ornament. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you try these out. They're really a lot of fun to do. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know in the comment section below. I read and answer them all. I'll make sure to have links for everything, especially patterns that are specific to the sleds in case you have trouble finding them. I'll have links for all of them down there for you. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you have any comments, questions, ideas for upcoming videos, I love to read and answer all your comments, so please don't hesitate to leave a note for me. I will see you again soon.